If betrayal was an Olympic sport, African leaders could be taking home gold every 4 years. These people could look their own starving grandmother in the eyes and still sign a contract that ensures her village doesn't see clean water for another 3 decades. They have mastered the art of selling out their own people with the precision of a surgeon and the shamelessness of a reality TV star. And don't even get me started on how they do it with a smile, a big, fat, teeth-glowing politician smile. The kind of smile that says, I just secured my family's future for the next 400 years while you figure out how to survive on a bowl of maize and disappointment. This isn't just corruption. It isn't just greed. This is an industry of betrayal. A well-oiled, highly profitable machine that takes the suffering of an entire continent and converts it into private jets, Swiss bank accounts, and luxury mansions in Europe. And if you think I'm exaggerating, then buckle up, because we're about to take a ride through the biggest, boldest, and most disgraceful betrayals in modern history, all signed, all sealed, and delivered by the very same people who were supposed to protect you. Let's start with the obvious question. Why? Why do African leaders keep screwing over their own people like it's a full-time job with performance bonuses? Well, the answer is simple. Because betrayal pays well. Let's do a little thought experiment. Think about this. Imagine you are a fresh new leader standing at a podium. The people are chanting your name in the name of your political party. You're wearing your best suit, the one your grandmother said makes you look like a real man. The nation is watching. You've made big promises. You swore things would be different. Now, imagine a few hours later, a bald, pale-looking foreign diplomat slides into your office, and now he offers you a deal. He has an accent, he has a briefcase, and the patience of a man who has done this 1,000 times before. And he goes, listen, my friend, and then he adjusts his silk tie. You can struggle for the next 10 years trying to fix your broken economy. Or you can just sign this piece of paper, retire in a European mansion, and let us worry about the resources. That's it. That's how easy it is. And before you scream, well, not every leader is like that, spare me, alright, spare me. They all get tested. Some resist, most don't. And those who resist, well, they either get assassinated or mysteriously disappear like a WhatsApp message before screenshots were invented. Remember those guys who fought for independence? Those ones who led revolutions, the ones you look up to so much, the ones whose faces are plastered on all the walls in the museums, in your history books and the cheap t-shirts? Yeah, those guys. They kicked out the colonial masters, only to replace them with something even worse, themselves. 1 minute they are preaching about freedom and equality. The next, they are declaring themselves president for life and spending the country's budget on golden palaces and bulletproof Bentleys and taking their kids to private schools overseas. Zimbabwe, Uganda, Equatorial Guinea, Sudan, you name it, they do it. It's like a buffet of dictatorships, and the only thing these guys are serving is generational suffering. Let's not forget, they always have an excuse too, which I actually find really entertaining. The West is sabotaging us. The opposition is trying to overthrow our party. We need more time to complete our vision. We will not get bullied by Donald Trump. Your vision, my brother, is to be in power longer than the average human lifespan, and the only thing you've built is a bigger bank account. Alright, let's get something straight. Most African leaders don't actually run their own countries. Tell me if I'm telling lies. They sit in the big chair. Yeah, they give long speeches that weren't even written by them, but the real decisions, those are made in Paris, London, Beijing, Washington, you name it. See, after colonialism, the Western powers had a choice. Number 1, let Africa be free and independent. Or number 2, make puppet governments that take orders like well-trained dogs. Guess which opinion they went with? Thank you. So here's how it works. 1, a leader gets elected, and then the Western companies slide in with development projects and massive funding, and then the leader signs away his country's resources for pennies on the dollar. And then the leader gets a fat paycheck, the people stay poor. And when the people get angry, when they start protesting and all of that, the leader magically gets foreign aid in the form of military weapons to control the unrest. It's amazing. Translation, if your people get too loud, shoot them all and their babies. We'll send you more bullets, don't worry. Screw them and their mamas. And then there's democracy, the great illusion. They'll tell you to vote. They'll tell you your voice matters. Meanwhile, the elections are rigged before they even start. You want to know how? Ever notice how African elections always follow the same pattern? Number one, the leaders is going to campaign, make big promises, and then step two, the election day arrives and suddenly there are technical issues with voting machines. And then step three, a week later, the leader magically wins 99% of the vote. Step four, opposition leader either disappears, gets arrested, or dies in a mysterious car accident or a plane crash. Then congratulations, you've witnessed another successful African election. Democracy. Now let's talk about the people, because at the end of the day, leaders only have power if you let them, right? And yet every few years, you fall for the same scam. A new guy shows up, he speaks well, he wears traditional clothes, he quotes Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King and says, I am one of you. And then what do? We cheer, we dance, we vote, we make him trend on TikTok. 6 months later, the same corruption, the same suffering, the same betrayal. At some point, we need to wake up and stop treating politicians like these messiahs and second comings of Christ. No one is coming to save us. Not the government, not the West, not the UN. If Africa is going to change, you have to be the ones to change it. Africans. If you thought we already uncovered every dirty trick in the book, then think again, because betrayal isn't just an accident for these leaders. It's a calculated art form, a masterpiece of deception painted over decades of suffering. If you were to ask an African leader whether they view their citizens as their greatest resource, they'd probably laugh in your face before signing another billion-dollar deal with China. Because in their minds, the people are not assets at all. They are absolute burdens. African people. Think about it. What does a typical citizen do for a corrupt politician? Complain? Protest? Demand services? Expect roads? Expect hospitals, clean water, good schools? That sounds like a nightmare to a leader who just wants to eat in peace with his rich children. In their twisted logic, the people are nothing but a nuisance. Loud, annoying, entitled, always expecting too much. They want jobs, but creating jobs means putting effort into fixing the economy. It's too much stress, it's too much stress. They want education, but educated citizens ask too many uncomfortable questions, man. They want healthcare, but a healthy population sticks around long enough to realize how much they're being exploited. You see, it's also a problem. Let's just kill them with vaccines. From a leader's perspective, the fewer they are of functioning citizens, the better. You ever wonder why African governments spend more on controlling their people than developing them? Because an empowered population is dangerous to their power. Look at how much money goes into riot police, military equipment, and surveillance technology compared to schools and hospitals. If leaders invested in their people, they would have to answer to them one day. One day. And they are not trying to have that conversation. Trust me. That's why they prefer their own people to be desperate. Because desperation breeds dependence. And a dependent citizen is an obedient citizen. When you're too busy trying to survive, you don't have time to start a revolution. Tell me if I'm telling lies. You ever notice how African politics is like one big game of pass the parcel? Except the parcel is corruption, and nobody ever leaves its circle. It's the same people, the same families, the same bloodlines, just switching chairs every election cycle. And you fall for it every single time, which is hilarious. Here's how it goes. Step one, a leader messes up for 20 years, people protest. Step two, a new leader appears making big promises, and then people celebrate again like the sea lions they are. Step three, a new leader turns out to be the same old leader, sometimes even worse. People get depressed. Step four, repeat. This isn't accidental, it's strategy. The elite families and political dynasties have already divided the power among themselves. No matter who you vote for, you are still going to get a puppet from the same backstage crew. And here's the sick part. They pretend to hate each other. They stage public fights, insult each other in parliament, and create the illusion of choice for you. But behind closed doors, they are sharing champagne from the money you are paying, making deals and laughing at how easily you are fooled every time. That's why nothing changes. It's all scripted, all a scripted soap opera, and the people are the audience, watching, hoping for a different ending, but always getting the same disappointment. If corruption was a disease, African leaders would rather die than take the cure. The mere idea of accountability makes them break out in hives. Scandal, blame the opposition. Economic collapse? I blame the West and the USA for not funding us. Citizens protesting? Blame foreign interference. These leaders are masters of deflection, shifting the blame like a magician performing sleight of hand. Every problem is someone else's fault. And when the heat gets too much, they step out of the kitchen or do the ultimate escape act. I'm going to seek medical treatment abroad. What? It's almost funny. These guys steal from the healthcare budget, destroy the local hospitals, and then when they get sick, they run to Europe for treatment and take their kids there. Imagine burning down your own house and then asking your neighbor if you can sleep on their couch. Are you absolutely kidding me? That is African leadership in a nutshell. And when the people demand accountability, they either disappear, bribe their way out, or rewrite the laws to protect themselves. Mugabe ruled Zimbabwe for 37 years without consequences. Equatorial Guinea's Teodoro Obiang has been eating off the country's resources since 1979 like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. Angola's Jose Eduardo dos Santos treated his country like his family business. These guys don't just avoid accountability. They've built a fortress around themselves to make sure it never finds them. There's an interesting paradox with African leaders, ne? They act tough with their own people, but then they bend over backwards for foreign governments. Why? Because deep down, they are terrified of their own citizens. You see, Western countries, China, IMF, can be negotiated with. They can be bribed, they can be influenced, they can even be manipulated. But the people, once they've had enough, they are unpredictable. That's why African leaders spend so much time controlling the media, silencing dissent, and arresting activists. Because they know the real threat isn't the West or China. It's the farmer who has lost his land, the student who cannot afford school, the mother who has watched her child die from preventable diseases. These are the people who have nothing else to lose. And when people reach that point, the governments what? They fall. Every dictator in history, from Gaddafi to Mobutu, eventually learned this the hard way. You can only push people so far before they decide to push back. That's why African leaders invest in fear. They'd rather rule through oppression than respect, because respect has to be earned, and they know they haven't earned it. Here's a wild thought. What if African leaders aren't against colonialism? What if they just hated not being the ones in charge of it? Think about it. Colonialism was about extracting wealth, controlling people, and maintaining power through force. Now, look at how most African leaders behave. Do you see a difference? I'm guessing your answer, it's no. Because they extract resources for their own benefit. Sound familiar? In other words, they don't want to end oppression. They just want to be the ones doing the oppressing. That's the same African governments that claim to hate the West. Then they turn around and sell their land to foreign investors, exploit their own people, and treat their citizens with the same contempt colonial rulers did. They don't want true independence. They just want the independence to do whatever they want. Good people, tell me who's the more evil one here. A drug cartel that makes millions a year knowing they're doing something wrong and admitting it and admitting they're bad people, or a politician that makes billions a year and then not admitting he's doing anything wrong? Just sit down and think about that for a second. Think about what I just said. If you must replay that clip. You've heard all the stories. A drug cartel makes a ridiculous amount of money by selling illegal substances. And yeah, we can agree it's wrong, right? No one's out here trying to defend them. We all know they are operating in the shadows, breaking laws, and causing chaos. But at least they are honest about it. They don't pretend to be the good guys. They know exactly what they're doing. If a cartel member gets caught, they are not going to pull a, "Oh, I was just trying to help the people" routine. They're not going to pull such a routine. They'll actually say, "Yeah, I sold drugs. I was making money. What about it?" But now let's talk about the politicians. The politicians, our saviors. These people, they're in the game of making billions from the people's hard-earned money and then telling the same people that they are not paying enough taxes. Yeah? That's like a little thief robbing you blind and then saying you're not tipping me enough for the privilege of being robbed. Are you joking? These politicians are out here raking in billions, shaking hands with international bankers and corporate bigwigs, building their personal empires. And meanwhile, They look at you dead in the eye and say, pay your taxes. The audacity, the absolute chutzpah. We need to talk about the absolute nerve these politicians have. They go around condemning the drug cartels and the other crime syndicates, telling everyone how terrible they are for ruining society and selling counterfeit goods. Meanwhile, they are running a much bigger scam. The government's taking money from its own people, pickpocketing it, and then telling you to give more. Let's break it down. A drug cartel makes money by selling illegal substances, for example. That's bad, right? No debate there. None of that. They are getting filthy rich from something that harms society. No argument. But at least they don't pretend they are anything other than criminals. They don't run around wearing silk suits bought overseas and calling themselves saviors. No. They'll get in front of a camera and say, yes, we do bad things, torture, everything, you name it. But you're addicted to what we're selling. That's your problem, not ours. They are transparent in their evil, which frankly is a little refreshing. Because if you're going to be evil, at least be upfront about it. Admit you're evil and know you're doing something wrong. But what do the politicians do? They wear their fancy suits, shake hands with the elites, make their speeches about change, progress and hope, all while secretly lining their pockets with the very taxpayer money that they claim they're using to help the country. And the kicker, they will look at you, the hard-working class hero, and then say, you're not paying enough taxes. You need to do your part for the country. They'll say all that nonsense. You're sitting there working 16-hour shifts, getting half your salary stolen in taxes. And then they've got the nerve to say you're not doing enough. They are the biggest criminals in society, and somehow you let them get away with it, with your money. These politicians take from the poor, give a little bit to the middle class, and then pocket the rest. They've figured out the greatest scam in history. They've convinced the people that the struggle is real. But in reality, they're the ones creating the struggle. That's like telling someone to escape the matrix, whereas they're the ones who made it. They're out here, people are out here scrapping by, and then the politicians are out there enjoying private jets, luxury yachts, and expensive wines that cost more than your whole year's salary. They've learned how to do the perfect crime, which is taking money right under your nose, and while you're busy working your tail off, they've got the gall to tell you that you're the problem. And let's not forget about the way they disguise their evil. They wear it like a badge of honor. They'll talk about reforming the system, about economic growth, and then on the side, they'll be the ones buying secret properties, undisclosed foreign bank accounts, having pala farms and lavish vacations. Their very existence is a joke. But it's not funny, it's actually infuriating, it's angering. The true evil lies not in their actions, but in their ability to make you believe that they're doing something good. They've perfected the art of spin and manipulation, and the people, oh, you guys will just sit there like a bunch of distracted sheep buying into their lies because you don't know any better. Well, guess what? We're waking up now. This is the great political con. Now let's zoom in on the real joke of the situation. The African politician. Here we are in 2025 with countries that are blessed with natural resources, incredible talent, and hardworking people. And yet we are being led by individuals who are so out of touch with reality that they make Mr. Burns from The Simpsons look like a humble philanthropist. I mean, come on. Have you ever seen the audacity of an African politician who sits in the Palazzo mansion surrounded by armed guards and pretty ladies and then gets up in front of cameras and says the people must pay their taxes to help the country grow? These guys don't care about growth. They don't care about you or your children. If they did, they wouldn't be hoarding the wealth like they were born with golden spoons in their mouths. Instead, they act like the people owe them. You know how in SA we joke about the tenderpreneurs? It's like all politicians are on that hustle. They are hustlers in this country. Because don't even get me started on the craft they use to deceive you. These guys have perfected the art of saying nothing while looking like they've said something profound. They'll stand in front of the people and use words like hope, future, empowerment, and half the country will be nodding along like they're listening to a sermon from some holy prophet. Elijah vibes. Meanwhile, back in their office, they are negotiating shady arms deals with foreign investors and the same client syndicates they talk against, who are paying them off in cold hard cash. Let's talk about the real betrayal for a second. African leaders don't care about the health of their people. They don't, sorry. I mean, if you've seen the state of healthcare in many African countries, including South Africa, then you'll know. It's almost like leaders are trying to create a competition. Who can be the least helpful? In the meantime, these guys are living it up in their private jets and private hospitals and making sure their kids get the best possible education at fancy international schools and inherit all their wealth. I don't even want to know how many millions are being siphoned off from national budgets. But I do know that if you're in an African country and you need an emergency medical care, your chances of survival depend more on luck than actual health care. But don't worry, the politicians will fly out to Dubai for luxury health checkups, eat the Dubai chocolate, sipping on their non-alcoholic beverages, all while they've got the nerve to demand more taxes from you. The guts on these people. So the question isn't really why do these politicians betray us? It's how they get away with it. The real evil is in their ability to take our trust and then crush it underfoot while looking at us straight in the eyes. It's like someone farting down your throat and looking at you. The real sin isn't just in their actions. It's the fact that they take down the very people they're supposed to be serving. They don't see you and me as citizens. They see us as wallets. We are the ATM they go to whenever they need more money. That's the true crime. So the next time a politician gets in front of a camera and starts spewing nonsense about progress, growth and all that rubbish, ask yourself this. Is this the person who's robbing me blind while making me pay for the next yacht they're gonna own? Spoiler alert, yes. But don't let them get away with it like how we Africans have been letting them get away with it for the past God knows how long. So what's the solution? How do we break this cycle as Africans? Well, step one, stop idolizing these people. Stop idolizing politicians. They're not gods. They're not saviors. They are public servants. And if they fail, we fire them. Simple. Step two, hold them accountable. If a leader fails to deliver, he needs to go. No excuses, no second chances. Step three, economic independence. Africa has enough resources to feed, power, and sustain itself. So stop begging, stop borrowing, and start building. Step four, reclaim the narrative. Right now, the world sees Africa as a charity case. We need to change that. Alright, no more Mr. Beast building 100 wells over here. What the heck? Step five, stop waiting for permission. If we want change, we need to take it. No one is going to hand it to us. I know this was a lot. I know some people will get mad, but who am I kidding? Summer Sambit gets people mad all the time. But sometimes the truth is like medicine. It tastes bitter, but the only way to heal is by taking that medicine. Because at this point, it's clear. African leaders don't just betray their people. They have built entire careers out of it. Eddie Guerrero style, lie, cheat, and steal. But here's the real question. How are we going to accept it? African leaders have been betraying their people for way too long. And it's time you and I stopped accepting it. Because at the end of the day, leaders only have power if people allow them to have it. And if African leaders refuse to change, maybe it's time the people do. Because at the end of the day, if we don't fight for a better future, who will?